Hey all, welcome to ShareTrack. This is Raj here, friends. Today, the markets performed way better than I expected. Our inflation data came up slightly below expectations, and that gave a good enough boost to the market. And things are looking really strong as far as S&P 500 futures are concerned, and even for that matter, NASDAQ. And as I pointed out earlier in my videos, this line out here is the ultimate resistance that we need to break. Most of the time in the last 10 years or so, after having touched that line, we have always come down. So that's one point I would like to make. And the second point I would like to make is that despite all the exuberance, the fact remains that earlier, from where we were earlier, now we're going to have at the baseline at least 10% tariff on US products as well as on other products of other countries. So overall, I think there is a baseline increase in price which has not yet reflected anywhere out here. We have not seen yet all those cargo shipment delays. So just be careful, because in the next few days, we may be approaching this line and anything can happen, because by that time we may have some news or catalyst. But today's catalysts were absolutely bullish, and I was able to take out some of the profits that I was looking for. To some of my shares which were in the red turned into green, and I took my profits. Right now, my strategy is to take profits wherever I can and accumulate as much cash as possible. Next, let us look at NASDAQ. Again, NASDAQ, same approach for NASDAQ. We have been able to gain around 1.48% in NASDAQ futures, and our resistance at 21,277.75 is still active, and you can see that the market is fighting out there to just break through and go above. And I suspect that it could break through, and probably tomorrow morning when we look at this index, this line of resistance might be converted into a support, and this diagonal line would become the dynamic resistance. We'll see that what happens tomorrow. Let's look at dollar index. It is kind of given up a little bit of its steam, and it's gone down to 100.936, but it has got this minor line of support out here, and it's being supported at that level as we end the trading day. So this minor line of support is still active and it's still supporting. Let us see what happens when we see it tomorrow morning. If you look at the 10-year yields, 10-year yields are positive. They're up 0.09%. That is not too much, but we are making a steady progress to reach towards 4.754. And as I indicated in my live stream this morning, it's very important to note that the corporate bonds market of around 1.04 trillion has got to be refinanced this year. And if the rates remain high, that cost is going to be much higher. So it may prompt some of the companies to use the share buyback money instead to buy back the bonds and fund themselves instead of going in for this high interest bonds. So that's one of the thoughts that I have in my mind. If you think that that's not a good way to think about it, please put it in the comment section. But I'm thinking that it also flows into mortgage and other areas. So maybe it will dampen the consumer appetite, and that could in turn assist our slide towards recession if the tariff becomes much more settled and permanent. So with that said, let's go on and have a look at where we left the indicators at. S&P 500 is still struggling within this area of resistance. As you can see, this candle out here. Let me just recalibrate the chart and show you the candle. As you can see, we are just on top of this edge of 5886.58. Right now, the market closed at 5886.54. So we're just 0.04 below the edge out here. And I think that tomorrow morning we should be able to break out from here. But in the process, we have left a gap up out here, which is going to pull us back again at some time. I don't know when. Right now, everything is bullish. MACD momentum, everything is looking ready to go. NASDAQ also is doing very well. It touched this area of massive supply and it came down a little bit, but a very strong candle out here. Fantastic MACD. Momentum is also pretty good, and RSI is overbought. And in the past, we have been a little more overbought. I think we have had instances where we have gone all the way up to 82.04 on the RSI scale. But in the recent past, we have gone right up to the overbought level and then come back down. So we have to see what it's going to be this time around. So I would be very cautious with NASDAQ. And if you look at QQQ, you would see that today we have respected this minor line of resistance, and our line of support at 500.17 is still intact. So that's the range in which we are today. And QQQ is likely to be in tandem with NASDAQ, and it will break through this minor line of resistance tomorrow, and it will try to target 537.59 for tomorrow. Right now, post-market, we are giving up a little bit of the gains. VIX has got VIX has settled down a lot, and around at 18.23, it's looking benign. And put call ratio is super bullish at this point of time. And as dollar lost its a little bit of its value, gold has gained a little bit because you need more dollars to buy gold right now. That said, let's go quickly to genomics and let's look at what's happening out here. Prime was down 5.22%, and the support for tomorrow is 1.16, and the resistance for tomorrow is 1.51. That's the range for Prime. MACD momentum, both are weak, so we are going to go down further. And if you see this double top out here, that's also a bearish indicator. So it's saying the stock price is going to go down. Intelia was down 2.69% today, and our resistance at 8.95 prevailed, and our support for tomorrow is going to be 6.83. And our MACD is bullish, but momentum is a little bit suspect. It needs to pick up. Now, if you look at the earnings came out very well, and that gave us a little bit of a boost, but things are winding down because of the overall sentiment in the market. Looking at the interest rates, the interest rates are the main factors for genomic companies because many of them would have debts, and those debts cost a lot of interest. So keep that in mind. And if you own any of these stocks, look at how much of debt they have issued and when the renewal is coming for those debt. And that in turn will give you an idea of how vulnerable or strong your company is. Caribou Biosciences dropped 4.31%, still respecting this diagonal line of resistance. And today, for tomorrow, 0.83 is the resistance, and the support is going to be 0.64. And let's go on to Beam Therapeutics. Beam Therapeutics was down 1.04%, and we have a resistance out here for Beam Therapeutics at 19.08, and we have a support at 17.47. We ended the day at 18.05 post-market. There is no trade. And friends, I just completed an exciting video on Beam Therapeutics and posted it on the members only side. And probably you guys will get to see it tomorrow. I'll also have a shorts out to give you an idea of what's there in that video. I'll release that first thing tomorrow morning. Beam has got a lot of good things going for itself, and they have got some RMAC designation. So you'd want to see that video. So watch out for that. Maybe it will come out tomorrow morning around 6 o'clock or something like that. So that's a heads up for you to see. And I think that the bullish MACD and the kind of news catalyst that we have, Beam should be able to overcome this sluggish performance that it has shown for earnings on the 6th of May. And things should start looking slightly better when the market absorbs the fact that this is a winning technology platform and it's already proving itself in the clinical trials. Altimmune was down 4.16% during the day, and it ended the day at 5.76, which is just below this horizontal line of resistance. And I think that for tomorrow, our first resistance is 5.81. The second resistance is going to be a very strong resistance at 6.18, and the support is going to be 5.33. MACD is still bullish. Momentum is also above average, and we had earnings from Altimmune today, and it bet the EPS by 26.12%, and it had a surprise of 5K for revenue, whereas the revenue estimate was 0. So this will not move the needle as such, but I'm looking at the EPS and I'm encouraged that the EPS came out better than expected. Now, the most important thing for Altimmune is pemvidutide. I would be scanning to see if we have any information on milestones for pemvidutide. Watch out for a video on that later on. Verve was down 4.37% today, and our resistance continues to be 4.37, and our support continues to be 4.16. And I think as far as the MACD and momentum are concerned, it's looking like rubbish out there. We have our earnings out here. which is supposed to come later on today. We'll check it and I'll bring you information tomorrow about that. Editas was down 2.60%. It's still within the same range it has been since somewhere around 22nd of April. And the upper bound is 1.68 and the lower bound is 1.33. It's going to be moving between them. MACD momentum, both are weak. Illumina was down 1.56% and manages to come back into this channel again, which is bounded by 80.76 on the top and supported by 74.10. We had been in this for almost since 23rd of April 2025. We are back in it again. MACD is still bullish. Momentum is above average. So I'm expecting that with a good earnings report also under the belt, Illumina should start faring better. We also have some conciliatory words between US and China. So that should also make things a little bit better for Illumina going forward. CRISPR Therapeutics lost 0.98% during the trading day, and the resistance continues to be 38.71. We ended the day at 37.22. And post-market, we are at 37.13. So our support is at 36.92, and that's continuing to be the support for tomorrow. And then you have Allogene, which was down 3.42% during the day. Our resistance remains 1.36. And I don't want to talk anything about the support because it can go down significantly. There is nothing much supporting Allogene at this point of time. And we'll have to see what happens in that earnings, which is going to be out anytime now. We'll bring some information about that for you once the earnings are out. Grail was up 19.17% today. You see this very strong candle broke above our minor line of resistance, and this excellent performance out here. MACD is also bullish. Momentum is almost in overbought area, and I think it could go up further. We have had earnings for Grail, and they have beaten the EPS by 22.24%, even though they didn't make any profits. Their losses were less than expected for the quarter. Revenue was down 9.55% as compared to the estimates. So overall, I think if you look at the EPS for these kind of companies, it shows that it's doing a good job. And they have also partnered with some institutions for their cancer tests. So those positive catalysts are also there. So I think overall things are looking very good. And I think that earnings report just came a few minutes ago. So tomorrow it will be very interesting to see if there is going to be profit taking, because in situations like this, you would have buy the rumor and sell the news kind of a market. So tomorrow I wouldn't be surprised if we see a drop in the price for Grail. Now let's look at PACB. PACB is up 4.55%. They had earnings on the 8th of May, and there was a negative surprise on EPS. It was a very big drop in EPS as compared to estimate, whereas revenue was much better. It was above. It was 4.83% above expectations. Overall, I think PACB is on life support and it's still struggling in this range. So it's going to have a support of 1.11 tomorrow and resistance of 1.21. RG was down 0.50% during the trading day, and resistance is 22.90. Right now it's at 22.06, and the minor line of support continues to be 21.88, followed by 21.58. Vertex was down 1.68% during the day. Our support continues to be at 429.46, and I think I'll peg the resistance somewhere out here as a minor line of resistance. I would say this would be a resistance for minor line of resistance for the stock Vertex, and it's going to be at around 449.66. Now let's look at Ginkgo Bioworks, down 2.29%. It was pushed down by this minor line of resistance. Let me just extend this. I think we'll see how long this goes on being a minor line of resistance, or does it become solid and becomes a major line of resistance. We'll see. If it is touched one more time, I think I'll convert that into a solid line of resistance. Minor line of support still at 646, and our MACD is bullish. Momentum is also above average. So Ginkgo Bioworks is not going to have too much of a movement at this point of time. The earnings is also behind us. It's going to be range bound for a while, and we'll see what happens if we get any new catalyst. Unicure is down 2.59%, and this diagonal line of support continues to be a support for tomorrow, and it's at 11.99, and the resistance for tomorrow is going to be around 15.53. And IMTX is down 4.82%. In today's action, support continues to be 4.16. We ended at 4.34, and our resistance for tomorrow is 5.31. MACD is bearish and momentum is also bearish. And our earnings, which came out today, have shown that EPS was 22.89% below what was expected. However, revenue was up by 26.80% over estimates. So overall, EPS is the most important metrics, and that's going to determine what happens to IMTX. So I'm thinking that IMTX will severely challenge this horizontal line of support tomorrow. And if we survive above that, good. Otherwise, we are looking at pulling this line down. And I would say that our support for tomorrow, second support is 3.39 for IMTX. ABEO was up 0.54%. And they have their earnings today. I'll have to check whether the earnings are out, but they still have support from 5.37, which was the support we said in the previous video. That remains the support, and our resistance is going to be at 6.05. MACD is bearish and momentum is just above average. Now we'll have to see what happens with the earnings. That could be the next catalyst. With that, my friends, I would like to say that I'm done with this video here. You could probably join me in the early morning live stream. It's at 7:45 a.m. Eastern time. That is a pre-market session, and I can do some technical analysis for you on any of your tickers that you have. And it will be fun to join together. With that, I'd like to end this video here. Thanks and have a great day, and bye for now.